Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Graham Hales. We are honoured to acknowledge Ms Diane Lees, Director General, Imperial War Museums, United Kingdom, and Brigadier Marcus Simpson, Defence Attaché, British High Commission. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, St John Fisher Primary School, Tumbayumby, and Maitland Grossman High School, East Maitland. And from Queensland, St Augustine's Primary School, Currumbin Waters, and St Michael's College, Caboolture. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
G'day. Today we remember and pay tribute to Sapper Ernest Frederick Poschalk. Ernest Poschalk was born on the 9th of January 1927 in Townsville, Queensland, the son of Ernest and Celia Poschalk. Ernest had an early interest in music and at the age of 12 won a brass trombone solo in the Australian Championship in Brisbane. He was regarded very highly in band circles and it was widely anticipated that he would go far as a bandsman. Poschalk lived and worked as a junior motor mechanic at Lofts Garage in Maryborough, Queensland. He joined the Maryborough Boys Band and in 1944 became a member of the Maryborough Federal Band. In late 1944, he won championship honours for the euphonium at Brisbane. His older brother Herbert had earlier enlisted in the AIF and served with the 6th Division in Greece and Crete. Evading capture, Herbert had been reported missing for more than 2 years, but survived until he was able to make it to British lines and was repatriated to Australia in November 1944. Once Ernest Poschalk had been called up to the militia, he was posted in May 1945 to the 1st Training Battalion, Royal Australian Engineers, at the large Australian Army training camp at Kapooka, New South Wales. Around a fortnight later, on the afternoon of the 21st of May 1945, Poschalk was crowded in a dugout during a routine demolition training exercise on the preparation of hand charges. 2 groups were there, one of 22 trainees and 2 instructors, and a smaller squad of 3 men and 1 instructor. Inside the dugout, 110 pounds of explosives were stored for the day's training exercise. In circumstances that remain unknown to this day, the explosives ignited. In the explosion, 24 men were killed instantly. 2 died of injuries shortly afterwards, and 2 more were severely injured. Poschalk was one of those killed in the accident. He was 18 years old. A mass funeral was held for the men in Wagga Wagga on the 24th of May. Thousands of people lined the route of the funeral parade, and the 26 flag-draped coffins were carried on 4 army trucks. The cortege included over 100 military vehicles carrying members of the Army and the Air Force. The dead were buried in the Wagga Wagga War Cemetery. Poschalk's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sapper Ernest Frederick Poschalk, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.